officer said he expects COVID-19 hospitalizations tomorrow to reach their highest level so far in the entire pandemic, which for nurse Felicia Croft means more patients in her ICU and far too many more days like these.
Last night, my daughter came to me, my 14-year-old Macy. She came to me. She said, "Mom, we need to pray for my friend's parents." And her friend's parents are in my ICU. And one of them may not go home. The other one's really, really sick too. And as a nurse, to know that if you can't get these two people home, that their kids will be orphans. Their 14-year-old could be an orphan. And to know that my daughter may come to me when she gets that call and say, "Mom, why didn't you save them?" I can't explain the feeling of defeat when you do everything. You pour everything into a patient and it's not enough. And then to know that they could have gotten vaccinated and it could have made a difference.
And Felicia Croft joins us now. Felicia, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you so much for what you have done. I cannot imagine working all throughout this pandemic as you have, more than a year and a half, working in a COVID ICU. I mean, I know doctors who are burnt out. I know nurses who have quit. Talk just about what you're up against right now, what kind of patients you're seeing.
Right now we're seeing a lot of patients, number one, and patients that are sicker and patients that are closer to my age, which just brings it to a whole new level. I'm 34 years old. You know, I have kids ranging from 10 to 14, and I know some of these people have kids younger than me. And I know all of the milestones that I want to see my kids hit. I want to see my kids graduate. I want to walk my kids out on the football field on senior night. I want to get my daughter ready for her first prom. And these are things that people we're sending to a funeral home instead of their house are missing. And that these are experiences and memories that their kids won't have with them. And that's really hard. You know, in the beginning it was sad. We lost a lot of people in the beginning, but mostly it was people that had lived long lives of love and they had seen their families grow. And this is just different. This really has made it show that, you know, COVID does not discriminate and everybody is vulnerable.
Louisiana expects COVID-19 hospitalizations to reach its highest level in the pandemic tomorrow, which is just extraordinary when you think about it, given the fact that there is a vaccine out there. What's it been like to, you know, work every day seeing this in the most intimate, horrific way possible, and then to leave the hospital and hear people talk about, you know, not wanting to wear a mask, and it's annoying, and I mean, you know, it's difficult, and they're just not going to do it. I mean, what is that? That's got to be a weird juxtaposition.
Well, so we have become a very selfish generation and a very selfish just group of people sometimes when I hear what others say. So this pandemic and masks and vaccines, this is not about you, and this is not about what always makes you feel good. And it's about, you know, you're the cashier at your local gas station, and it's about your local baker, and, you know, your neighbor and your cousin's friends, and people that maybe aren't important to you, but they're important to someone else. And I think that stepping out of that, what's most important to me and what makes me comfortable and keeps me happy, I think if we change to that mindset, it would change a lot of what's happening outside and inside the hospital. And I look at people as individuals and as, you know, creations of Christ, and I hope that others will start to look at that instead of just saying how uncomfortable they are. And I have to just be real careful and let the Lord guide my words when it comes to that, because sometimes it's for me to speak and sometimes it's not. But yes, it does put us in a very difficult position.
In the video, you talk about your 14-year-old daughter, who must be, I hope, so proud of you. She came to you, wanted to pray for her friend's parents who were in your ICU. I mean, how do you explain all that to your child?
So, when she comes to me, we number one, we pray for, and we tell God, not that he doesn't know, but we ask him what we hope for. And of course, we hope that they get better and we hope they come home. But we also hope that God prepares us for whatever his will is, whether that is or isn't, and that we can use whatever testimony from here on. And, just reminding her that God has a purpose and a plan and that we are part of it. And, whether that's in a good, happy light or, just to love on someone when they need us, we just have to be prepared to let God use us either way.
It's so interesting and so important, I think, to what you say, because there are folks who are are people of faith and good people who feel, well, I'm not gonna get a vaccine because I'm just gonna leave it up to to what the Lord wants. I think I'll do fine. You come from a religious tradition, you come from a religious background and a worldview, and yet you also are embracing the vaccine.
Absolutely, because there's a story about the man on the roof and the flood, and there's a boat that comes by and he says, "No, God's going to save me." Everybody's heard that story. And sorry.
Sure.
I feel like this is the boat, and God gave somebody a whole lot smarter than me, with a lot more letters behind their name, the knowledge to develop this vaccine. And I think that he gave it to us. I think that, one, I think we have a choice, to take it or not to take it. But, if that choice is based on just you, then maybe you're making the choice wrong. If you're truly loving your neighbor as yourself, would you do it for your neighbor? But just to know that this is something that God gave somebody knowledge for, I feel like that's a reason to embrace it. I did not get the vaccine when it first came available. I was nervous. I had questions. There were things I didn't understand, like a lot of the same questions that people ask me now. How is this safe? How did we come up with this so fast? How do we know, that we can trust this? And so I did my own research and I talked with my doctors. And the more I did my own research, I'll tell you, I am a firm believer that God is never taken by surprise. And the more I researched, the more I saw that mRNA research started back in the 1980s. Yeah. So in the 1980s, God knew this was coming. And he gave somebody smarter than me the knowledge to start to lay this foundation. And this foundation has built and built until now here we are. And we had everything we needed to get this vaccine out quickly to people.
Yeah. It is a medical miracle in so many different ways. Felicia Croft, it's awesome to talk to you, and just bless you for what you're doing. I really just think it's extraordinary what you and everybody in the medical community has done and continues to do. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right.